and welcome to Josef's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to like, follow, or subscribe to any of the videos that I put out there. Just put them out there where I can. Have a holly jolly great time doing so. Wow, staying with the quick theme today, and I hope this one can be lickety-split for you. Might be the fastest one in the series. Here we go. Right. We need to build a truck. I'm still noodling with an idea of what we can do, but I always wanted to do some sort of unofficial memorial to the Smiths potato chip factory, or crisps as some people call them. I've devoted my arteries to this lifelong legacy, and as a result, here we are. While I haven't quite figured out a depot and exactly what it is we're going to do, I thought we still were going to need some sort of a vehicle, a delivery truck, maybe something era in the 70s, 80s, thereabouts. And in which case, I found this tremendous truck here. Absolutely what we need. So join me today in what we're going to do to personalize a little truck and add my little Josef signature to it and create our Smiths delivery truck.
I'm going to reveal the truck now, but the problem is the color balance seems to go bad with the camera. So pay attention to the first few seconds here. Perfect. And then all of a sudden the green is going to go into a horrible blue. Let's not get into that at the moment. What we'll do, let's move the truck here onto a piece of paper. Maybe we'll get better luck with that. So this is the truck. Now the great news is it happens to be from that WIKING brand, which is basically what we've been using with some other stuff like my BP tanker truck. So we've got this level of detail that isn't too over the top, but it's just the balance we need. Most importantly, it suits the era I'm chasing, and the color scheme is the blue and yellow. So the plan is to just put some basic signage that the paper it's sitting on has been printed on. So we're going to snip it up and add a bit of that. I think as soon as we dust a little bit of the traditional grey that I do of the weathering powder across the tyres, I don't think I'm going to do a wash over this. We're going to leave it reasonably pristine. But the other plan of attack I thought we're going to try, and it may fail epically, is I think because it's one of these trucks, I think like that back bumper there, I'm going to try drilling the little holes into it and trying to mount my own LED lights. Since the truck I originally bought, the 4.5 volt Morton Salt one I thought would be good, is actually an O gauge, so it's a bit too big for us. But let's give this a crack anyway, shall we? Well, here we are with some images I'm going to attempt. It's the same thing. Basically, we've just got standard paper here, and then we've got a 200 GSM card type of paper. You can see we're basically going to try and snip out some Smiths logos on that, and I'm not sure what we're going to do here. I think we're going to keep it simple, and even though the era that I'm focusing on, which is pretty much in the 90s, which was where we had this kind of appearance, and I thought this might look good actually on the truck, we're either going to do something here, or I deliberately printed some of these longer ones thinking even if I took this and striped it across the side might not be bad. Let's have a look what we come up with. So this was the plan of attack. I just took our 50/50 PVA. In fact, it's actually Mod Podge, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Your scenic cement that you use, so that's 1 part Mod Podge, matte preferably, to 2 parts of water, and then some drops of dishwashing liquid. So when you hear me banging on 50/50, I recycle the bottle, but you can do the same thing just with PVA, where you're basically just putting in PVA glue and half and half with water and some dishwashing liquid, depending on what you need. And as you can see, I've just decanted a bit out onto a little bit of baking paper at the moment, and just using an eyedropper, I just gently spread it around to get the signage that we've cut out here. Now, I did a few little interesting approaches to the truck here, and that's why I thought I'd just bring you in on while the glue's drying at the moment. I did cut out some little ones, and as you can see, added them to the front of the truck. And I think that's not too bad at all. One on the other side. On this side, I went with basically the image they're going with at the moment as they're transitioning through the different logos we've used over the years. So it gives the more modern look. And on the other side, I just took another one using the more modern look with the original packet. And still, you can see how I've blended in the yellow in the background and cut it to size. And while that's Smith's chips, they certainly don't make Ruffles chips. Arnotts made that. And of course, here's the image I nabbed it from. That image, well, it's pretty low quality because it's a product from the 80s in Australia. I actually took from the YouTube video and snipped it down to size. As long as I can say Ruffles and I roughly remember the color scheme, We're not quite done yet because we're going to add a little piece of brown rope dangling off the back. And to a particular few family members, they'll know the significance of the Ruffles truck and a bit of rope dangling out the back, which I'll explain shortly. But I think this has turned out quite well. So basically what we've got here, as you can probably just see, is we've just got a bit of cotton and we've just folded it back on itself 4 times over. And we're just using a bit of Vallejo Beastie Brown. Let's just put a drop of that on and get it in. Now, the paint should also act as our, the rope was similar to this. I might have to just put a bit of a wash over it to give it a little bit of black definition for the shadows of where it was twisted. That's not too bad at all, actually. I only literally need 3 centimeters. All right, that looks good. So there is our piece of rope. We'll leave to dry. Well, there you go. A little piece of rope. And it didn't turn out too bad. I wrapped it around that spare tire because I said we're going to do a part 2. I'm going to attempt to get some LEDs put into this just as basically tail lights and parker lights to market. I think will be the plan of attack there. But otherwise, very, very happy. So there you go. Another one ready for the layout.
You watch out for Gobbledoks now.
Gobbledoks? No one believes in Gobbledoks.
If you believe in the delicious real potato taste of Smith's crinkle-cut potato crisps.
Breaker, breaker, this is Big Eddie, I'm on my way.
One day, you'll believe in Gobbledoks.
Well, here it is. In all its glory, isn't it marvellous? 2 sets of liveries depending on which way I decide to sit it down on the layout. The iconic Smiths logos running across from the newest to the oldest. In fact, one got chopped off. And something that's a little more from the modern era with the new font and a bag of original chips there. And of course, the Ruffles logo. Ruffles potato chips in Australia were at the time of the 80s being made by the Arnotts Biscuit Company, who make the legendary Australian Tim Tams, Monte Carlos, Scotch Fingers, all those wonderful cookies, biscuits, and of course the South Australian legend, which of course is the Yo-Yo biscuit. Why is the competing brand on here? Well, we can't really get Ruffles chips anymore in Australia, but that's not what this video is about. The reason it's here is when I was young, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that age, after taking a trip back from Cowell through to Whyalla, we pulled over in the mighty Datsun 180B and pulled over to the side of the road after some exceptionally heavy rain, and we had become bogged at the side of the road. And wouldn't you know it, a Pantech truck, or that size type of truck, pulled along. It was a weekend, I believe, afternoon, and happened to be the Ruffles delivery truck. And we attached a piece of brown rope from the back of the Datsun to it. He got us out and drove off, and I'll never forget the fact that part of our rope was still hanging on the back of that Ruffles truck, and I always felt like he stole our rope. Needless to say, at that age, you're not really focusing on the fact that you've just been pulled out. You're not stuck anymore. We can go. Oh, good memories. That and things like driving 100 kilometers because our front windscreen had become shattered, or a missing fuel tank. Oh, the adventures I could tell you. Never mind. Here we are. We've reached the end of the video. Look, I couldn't be happier with what we've achieved with this. And all we need to do now is somehow scratch our noodles now and figure out, wouldn't it be good if we could make a Smiths factory fit somewhere on this layout? Goodness knows that can't possibly be the case. Or could it? So until the next one, as always, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, I'll put this down. Please do stay safe. Toodles!